Check. 1 2 1 2. I think we're sounding pretty good. How's everybody doing today? Got episode 4, the Afterlife File podcast. My name is Randy, and I always say this: if it's your first time here, it's nice to finally meet you. We're doing a paranormal podcast where we talk about ghost stories and paranormal encounters and everything in general, pretty much, like UFO stuff, paranormal stuff, anything that you can't explain or that like kind of keeps you up at night. But yeah, man, it's 2025. We're trying to be more consistent here. Hope everybody's having a really good week, though. Hope everybody's got some snacks. Everybody's chilling, having a good week so far. I'm gonna end up making a Discord here pretty soon. Just so people can just so I can have a place for people to put their own experiences and everything. I think that'll be a really good idea. Yeah, it's gonna be good. I'm excited. It's gonna be a good year. This year, we're definitely gonna get this podcast off the ground. What's up, Rush Boy? How you doing, my guy? What's up? Hold on, I'm trying to figure this out. Got chat pulled up. Got the stream going. Okay, everything's looking good. Everything's sounding good. On Granny Sandals. You having a good week so far? Yeah, lately I've been doing a lot of UFO stories just because of all the drone stuff and everything that's been going on, but I'm trying to get back into the paranormal. That's where all the crazy stories are, really, if I'm being real. Bet. Yeah, I got you, bro. Dude, my Warzone, I'm gonna send you a screenshot next time I try to log into that shit, man. Dude, it's crashing on me every single time. You said, let's go New Zealand? That's funny. Yeah, we can get it in, bro. I just gotta figure out I don't know if I gotta switch from Steam to Battle.net or what, but Paranormal Tour. Yeah, dude, I had a lot of people telling me there's a lot of craziness that goes on in New Zealand. I have a friend over there right now, actually. Shout out Smurf. Papa Smurf. Yeah, apparently New Zealand's like crazy for paranormal stuff. Who would have thought? It's such a small island. But it's always the places that you it's always the places that you don't really expect, right? That's what I always kind of find. You had any experiences, Rush? See, I'm different. I love this paranormal stuff and everything about it, but I've never had a single experience myself. Not even one. I've never seen a ghost. I've never had some shit brush up against me. I've only had like tapping on the window or whatever, but it's like, that's kind of minuscule compared to what some of the stories that I read. I'm like, fuck, man. So I feel like I'm different in the space because I've never had a experience myself, but there's a lot of people that had. Damn. Your story about your grandma and your dead husband and her dead husband. Damn, that's crazy. Whenever you get time, bro, just type it all out and I'll read it for you. We'll talk about it on here. I'm gonna end up making a Discord just so I can have a spot for people to send me their encounters and everything. But yeah, man, that'd be crazy. I'm super into it though. As a matter of fact, I live in a brand new house. I don't think this house is haunted, but hold on, I'll be right back. Yeah, I definitely don't think this house is haunted, but we just like to make sure, right? Yeah, whenever you get time, bro, no rush, no rush. No pun intended rush. I got this a while back. It's like a EVP recorder. And I'm sure whenever you watch those like paranormal investigators and everything, you hear them talking to it. Like it'll be like, for example, is there anyone here with me right now? Like I just want to know for sure. You feel me? Let's see. Is there anyone here with me right now? Like I feel like one of these days I'm gonna get a voice. That'd be crazy. I used to take this thing with me everywhere. But what I'm gonna start doing is we're just gonna leave this running, and then I'll edit it later. I'll see if there's anything on there later. But yeah, I feel like one of these days I'm gonna get a voice. Watch. Definitely think I'm gonna get a voice. Yeah, man. Whenever you get time, no rush at all. I'm gonna make a Discord. It's like group chat, pretty much. So we can all hang out. We can all talk about spooky shit. I think it'll be good. I finally ended up changing the category to talk shows and podcasts. So, because I had it on like just chatting before. Yeah, man, though. You got any plans for the week, Rush? You just chilling? I don't go into work until for another 2 hours, so I'm like, fuck it, we might as well film. And this will be up on YouTube later on today. Edited up and everything, so it'll be good. But I do want to put out there in the universe, I am looking for a co-host and somebody that can edit really good and somebody that can make an intro and an outro really good. So this is going to be episode 4. Anybody that sees this on Twitch, TikTok, YouTube, Instagram, whatever, it's all the same thing, the Afterlife File podcast. If anybody out there knows how to do an intro, an outro, excuse me, or is interested in wanting to be a co-host on a podcast, just let me know. Because I could do it myself, but it's definitely easier that way. He said just smoking. I feel it, bro. It's crazy. Actually, since the new year, I haven't smoked at all. So it's been about a week. So pretty proud of that. We're gonna see how long we can go. Maybe it'll last a month. Maybe it'll last another 2 days. I don't know. We'll see though. Yeah, bro, just whenever you get time, love to hear those stories. Ask your brother too, see if he's got any stories. See if Rich has got any stories. I'm here for it all, man, because I know a lot of people will hold on to stuff. They'll have experiences and stuff, but they'll be like weird to talk about it, you know, unless they have like a way to like express it in a way that makes them feel comfortable. And I'm like, I get that. So, you know what I mean? But yeah, man, I was going through Reddit this morning when I woke up. I woke up kind of early, like 5. Just getting ready. Let's see. This first story is going to be kind of weird, but it's because I've never heard of people doing something like this, but it's interesting. It's called one man hide and seek. I don't know if anybody's ever heard of that, but I was reading this one this morning. I was like, people do this, like one man hide and seek. So they'll do like a ritual with like an inanimate object. So like a stuffed animal or something, and then they'll kind of make it come alive, and then they'll set it out there, and then they'll play hide and seek by themselves. But then that object will end up kind of like a garden gnome, like they move around and everything. So that's what this first story is going to kind of be about. One man hide and seek, but it's like, I kind of skimmed it just because I wanted to save it for this episode, but we'll see right now. It's on the Ghost Stories subreddit called Real Paranormal Experience, One Man Hide and Seek. When I was 13, and my friend, when I was 13, my friend and I thought it was a good idea to do one man hide and seek. Apparently it's a challenge. You're supposed to put rice and your DNA in a stuffed animal and perform a ritual and in a sink, and it plays hide and seek with you. We followed every instruction and nothing happened. So I threw it under my bed. Great spot, right? We go to bed, and honestly, I was relieved nothing happened. Then the next day came. We slept in the same room. My friend got up to open his closet and change, and the monkey, so he was playing it with a monkey, like a stuffed monkey. And it was like a sock monkey, I've seen one of those. Was sitting on the top shelf inside the closet looking at him. My friend screams and jumps into my arms, basically. I see the monkey and assumed he was just pranking me, so I didn't really think much of it. And at the same time, he believed I was pranking him. Mind you, nobody in his home, and his parents were out of town for work. When we go to play Xbox in the living room, as we usually do, we're playing FIFA or whatever. It was a while when I decided to go check on Mr. Monkey. Left it in the same spot. It moved and was sitting on the windowsill, staring out of the window. My heart dropped to the floor, and I screamed at my friend. I had no idea what to think. I didn't want to believe it, so I told my friend that somehow he was pranking me. I don't like to swear, but on my mother's life, we walked out of the room and walked right back in, and it was on the other side of the room on the windowsill. I've only ever seen this in movies. I'm tripping. I'm still hoping that my friend was in on it. Of course, we go back in the room and it's gone. We searched the house for a little until we found it back in the sink where we did the ritual. I soaked the monkey in water, hoping it would make a trail so we could see how it was moving. That reminds me of Monsters Inc., like the lady. You know the lady at the front desk, Mike Wazowski looking ass, how she would like leave a trail and shit. We searched the house for a little until we found it back on the sink where we did the ritual. I hate even typing this out, it gives me chills. His house was very small, so you can basically see the whole house from the living room and the couch. So I'd be able to see if the monkey moved from the sink, from which his parents' room. The parents was to the left of us, and the kitchen was to the right, like their room. We sat on the couch, and I get up to check. I see a wet trail going out of his mom's room, right by the couch, and into the kitchen. I follow the trail to the kitchen, and it ends up on the fridge. There the monkey was, chilling on top of the fridge. Somehow I searched to the end and found, I searched how to end the one-man hide-and-seek challenge, and it was said to put salt water in your mouth and spit it onto the stuffed animal. Fuck, so this is like a whole ritual type shit. This is crazy. We did that and went back into the living room in hopes that when we came back, it wouldn't have moved. Well, it moved back to the windowsill in my friend's room. So how the hell? I would just put a camera on it at that point. Like, wouldn't you just put a camera on it and be like, all right, if you move, I got you. You know, got you in 4K. That's crazy. It moved back to the windowsill in my friend's room, and at this point, we wanted to do whatever we could to get rid of it, so we buried it outside. In the dirt, we went back inside and came back out. The hole was dug up, and the shovel was moved. We live in the mountains, so my friend had a bear-safe dumpster that we locked it in. The monkey got out of it. There was no one there to open it. I was with my friend the entire time. His dog was there, but there's no way an Australian shepherd was pranking us like that. We went on Instagram Live, and 3 of our buddies joined to see if we could get someone to see it move. Okay, so he did put a camera on it. It wouldn't move with the camera on it at all. I basically knew that whatever was going on wasn't my friend, and he knew the same. We were crying out of fear. After the Instagram Live, I threw the monkey into the bushes out of anger. It came back at me as if someone threw it out in thin air. That's crazy. So he threw it into the bushes, and that shit just got thrown back at him. It was a very weird feeling to see something like that move on its own. I ended up getting picked up from my dad when my mom's friend got back home. After that, I lived in constant state of fear. Over the next couple times I was at his house, the monkey would move until he eventually burned it. Haven't seen the monkey since, nor experienced anything like that again. This is what sparked my curiosity of God. I knew that if the monkey was evil, there had to be an opposing force, which I now believe is Jesus. I'd just like to see if anyone out there has had a similar experience. I've never even heard of that, like something like that. That's kind of crazy. People be doing the craziest challenges, I swear. Like this monkey, he played hide and seek with himself, and this monkey was playing with him too, pretty much. Like, that's kind of crazy. I'm gonna have to look into that one day, just to see if there's anybody else that's played that. Because this is a challenge, like, you know how on TikTok and Instagram and shit, they be doing challenges and stupid shit like that. That'd be interesting. Okay, not a bad story to start us off. That's crazy. It's my coffee maker. This next story is called I Saw a Ghost in Edinburgh around 3 in the morning. I went to Edinburgh with a couple of my friends about a week ago. It was 3 in the morning, and I head out of my hostel room to catch some fresh air. The accommodation we were staying in had a couple of benches kept in front of the main gate and was situated at the end of the street. It would have been around 10 minutes of me being there when I saw a black car being pulled over at the end of the street For a good 10 minutes, I never saw anybody coming out of it until it hit me that there was nobody inside, neither in the passenger or the driver's seat. I was a bit drunk, but I could clearly make out that I can't see any human inside of it. Okay, was it a Tesla? Was it? But even then, cars don't fucking drive themselves like that. Not yet, at least. I started feeling really jittery and left the place to go sit inside the sitting area of the hostel reception. After around hardly 3 or 4 minutes, I went outside to check on the car again, but there was no car. It had just vanished completely. I approached a few people who were sitting in the cafe across the street to tell them about the incident, and they proposed to come check it out for me. Naturally, we ended up finding nothing, and they tried to rationalize it by me coming up with explanations such as it could have been a Tesla. Yeah, but no. I've seen Teslas drive themselves, but you gotta have somebody in the car though. But not really though, because I've been at Walmart and I remember a guy at the front, like when you walk into Walmart, he hit a button on his phone and the fucking car came and like pulled up to him, and then he put his groceries in and then he drove off. So I'm like, they look, he can drive themselves. So I don't know. After a while, one of them admitted that Edinburgh is an old city, so such sightings could not be entirely impossible. I'm back to my place, but I still remember the chills I got during the incident. Edinburgh. I've heard of that place. I know there's a lot of hauntings coming out of that place too. So I wouldn't doubt it. I wouldn't put it past anybody that place is fucking haunted. Hold on, I'm just gonna check the camera. Make sure we're still live. Make sure everything's good. I think we're good. Showing we're live. That's all I care about. Yeah, Edinburgh. I've heard a lot of scary stories coming out of that place. Okay, this next story is called Yellowstone Ghost or Cabin Ghost. Anybody ever been up to Yellowstone? Like National Park? It's like desolate out there. A couple of years ago, me and my family went on vacation. We rented a cabin very close to Yellowstone. Me and my older brother slept in the same room. It had bunk beds, and he took the top bunk. It was probably like 1 a.m. when we decided to go to bed. We had a lamp on, and I turned it off and used my phone flashlight to look for an outlet so I could plug my phone in. Normal shit. The outlet was by the head of the bed. There was a gap between the head and the bed and the wall. When I plugged in my phone, I turned off the flashlight and I looked up the top bunk where my brother was. When I looked up, I saw a figure staring at me from the top bunk. It was a dark shadow. It looked like it was someone sitting on their knees. It almost looked like a human, and it looked like a human body with a goat's head. Oh, fuck, no. I thought it was my brother and said something along the lines of, "You scared me so bad." While reaching to touch his stomach, nothing was there. I touched nothing. I moved my hand downwards and felt my brother's head. I'm not sure if it was my eyes playing tricks on me or something, but I don't think it was because it wasn't in the corner of my eye. I looked at it for a good 5 to 10 seconds. I have no idea what I saw that night, and I didn't sleep in that room for the rest of our stay. What do we think about that one? I'm sure we've all had a experience where we've like had a bright light in our eyes, and then we turn it off, and then you might see like figures or silhouettes of stuff around, but it's like he said, it's usually in the corner of your eye, like in your peripheral, not like when you're directly looking at it. And he said he caught it for a couple seconds, but low-key, when that happens, it does last about 5 to 10 seconds. So maybe, I don't doubt he saw anything, but usually there's a good explanation for things. Oh, but yeah, like I was saying earlier, definitely would like to try to get someone that can do an intro and an outro. That'll help me out a lot. I can make one, but I'm sure there's people out there that could do like a really good one, you know? Okay, this next one's called A Bunch of Ghosts Are Haunting Me 2 days ago. So my dad is a pastor, and when somebody passes away, he does a funeral service, and I'm forced to attend most of them. I've noticed strange things seem to happen after every time I leave one, such as shadows moving weird, seeing headless people, hearing noises that no one else hears. I usually blow them off. My mind is messing with me, but one day my mom went into the store and I waited in the car. After a while, I checked the store to see if she was walking out. It was then I noticed the door opening and closing by itself. I would blame it on the wind, if not for the fact that the door was freaking heavy, and it stopped whenever someone walked close or goes inside, or it started, and then it started again. It freaked me out, but I tried not to think about it until a close family member died, and the other night I heard breathing. I thought it was myself, first breathing weirdly until I decided to hold my breath, and the breathing continued. I checked my family members to see if anyone was snoring. Weird, but it seemed normal. After I listened to the whole room, it seemed to be coming from my bed. There are more stories I have about ghosts and stuff, but they're too big. That's a weird one. Pastor's kids. Interesting. Very interesting. Okay, this next story is called The Door with the Shakes. And all of these stories are like super recently. Okay, we'll do that one. Yeah, this one was 20 hours ago, so this was just yesterday. This guy put his story up. the Ghost Stories subreddit titled The Door with the Shakes. This morning, I was watching a YouTube video, and it reminded me of something that happened about a decade ago. I'd been meaning to share this video or this story for a while, so here we go. I swear this story is 100% true, and my mom, who was there with me, can back me up. It was around 2015. My girlfriend, now my wife, and I were living in an old apartment building. It was 12 stories tall, and we were up on the 10th floor. One of our close friends had just moved into an apartment on the 2nd floor, so we spent the day helping her move in. My wife, my mom, who was always down to help someone move, and I were running up and down between the U-Haul, the 2nd floor, and our apartment. Since we were in and out constantly, we didn't bother locking any of the doors. This is important later. At one point, my mom and I went down to the U-Haul for another load of boxes. We carried them back up to our friend's apartment on the 2nd floor, same as we had done a bunch of times already, but when we got there, the door was locked. We knocked, expecting her to open it and maybe apologize for locking it, but nothing. We waited 5-10 minutes, knocking every so often and calling her name. At first, we just assumed she was in the bathroom or something, and any minute now she'd open the door and make a joke about dropping the kids off at the pool. And then, out of nowhere, the doorknob started shaking violently. It wasn't just a little jiggle. It was like something on the other side of the door was frantically trying to lock or unlock the door. The whole thing rattled back and forth, shaking the entire door. At first, I thought maybe she'd been changing or something, and panicked when she heard us outside. The weird thing is, there was no sound. No footsteps, no voice. Nothing. Just the doorknob going crazy for about 10 to 15 seconds. It was enough time for us to stand there and watch the doorknob twist and turn, and the door pushed back and forth. My mom and I looked at each other like, what the hell? Finally, we left the boxes outside the door and headed back to the 10th floor. I left my phone, and my mom didn't have our friend's number, so when I walked into the apartment, I called out to my wife, asking her to call our friend and let her know that we'd been standing out because the door was locked with boxes. But as I came into the kitchen, I froze. There, standing casually, there was my wife and our friend, talking, having drinks. I just stood there, dumbfounded. My mom came in behind me and froze too. They noticed and asked what was wrong. I looked at our friend and said, "Who's in your apartment?" We'd been knocking at your locked door for about 10 minutes and somebody just locked the door and never answered. She looked at me like I was crazy and said she hadn't been in her apartment for at least the last 20 minutes. She swore she hadn't locked the doors at all that day, and there should be no one in there besides us. At this point, I was freaked out. We all went back down to her apartment to check. When we got there, the door was unlocked and the place was empty. The only sign we'd even been there were the boxes still sitting outside the door. To this day, my mom and I can't explain what happened. There was no noise inside the apartment, no movement, no voices, nothing. If we had been at the wrong door, you'd think somebody would have at least yelled at us to leave. But we were at the right door, with the boxes, because we had a purpose to move in that day. The only semi-logical explanation I can come up with is maybe the maintenance guy was in there, locked the door behind him, and panicked when we knocked. But even that doesn't make sense. Why wouldn't he just open the door and explain? Because they were knocking for a while. Why stay silent and leave as soon as we walked away? and the silence behind the door was so unnatural for someone being just on the other side of the door. Good news is our friend lived in that apartment for over 2 years and never reported anything strange. But whenever I bring it up, my mom and I both remember it vividly. Her and my wife still try to find some kind of explanation, but I'm just convinced that place is haunted. That's crazy. And that's super creepy too, because if you're on the other side of the door, like, why be worried about it? Just open the door. It ain't that hard. Okay, this next story came out 17 hours ago by Aggravating Boss 918 on the Ghost Stories subreddit. Disclaimer: yes, I am new to Reddit, and I was told to put the story out by a friend because it's starting to get to me. I don't know if this actually happened because I'm the only one who still remembers it. People keep telling me that I'm crazy or lying, but I know what I experienced. I'm still young, but this happened when I was 8 and my cousin was 7. We were pretty close back then, and we were having a sleepover at my house. At the time, I lived in an apartment with just my mom. My aunt had recently moved out, so we had a spare room that was going to be mine soon. Back then, I still slept with my mom because I was afraid of the dark. My cousin and I were playing until around 11 p.m. when my mom told us we had 30 minutes to play. She said she was going to bed and made us promise not to open the door. We both said okay because we were excited to keep playing. I don't know what time it is. I don't know what time it was when this happened, but we saw a tall lady with black hair and red lips. She walked down the hall and came to us. She started playing with us. The hall she came from led to a storage closet. She started talking to us about random things, like what we both liked, and even did fake doll voices. After a while, she told us we needed to open the door and let her out. We said we couldn't because my mom told us not to. Then my cousin looked at me and said, she looks a bit like Mel. Mel is our older cousin who was about 4 years older than us. I agreed. But then suddenly, the lady was gone. We tried to find her and open all the hall storage room, which makes a loud noise. This woke up my mom, and she was mad that we were still awake. She told us it was around 2 a.m., the latest we had ever stayed up as kids. She made us go to sleep right after that. In the morning, my cousin and I talked about it, but when we told my mom, she was confused. She said there was no lady at the door, and the door was still locked. However, I noticed the top lock wasn't locked, even though the bottom one was. My mom insisted that she hadn't locked the top one and brushed it off as nothing. To this day, I don't know if it's true or not, but I still remember everything so clearly. I remember the dolls we played with, and the show we were watching. It's been about 10 years since that happened, and I still live in the same apartment. Sometimes I feel like there's something near me, but I don't want it to be true or for it to be anything bad. That's crazy. That's a long time to be in one apartment. Okay, this next one was 10 hours ago, so got posted last night. It's a shorter one from Louisiana, from Express Cheesecake 75 on the Ghost Stories subreddit. It's an experience. I was living in New Orleans at my grandmother's house, going to college. One night I came home late after a night out. I was lying in bed for about 20 minutes when I heard the footsteps of a heavyset person in the living room. They then proceeded into my grandmother's bedroom, then into mine. and down the hallway into the kitchen where they ceased. I know for a fact it was not my grandmother because I could hear her sleeping. We were the only two people in the house. I've had other experiences there as a small child, and years later, I told the above to my mom. She related that she had separately, and a friend of hers had the same thing happen to her. We sold the house after Katrina, so I don't know if the entity still lives there or is still active in the area. Okay. You guys know about Louisiana? Louisiana is for sure like a hot spot for all that stuff, honestly. I think so. Okay. This next one is a little older, about a month old, but it's pretty good. It's titled, "My baby brother was terrified tonight, and his reaction scared me too." I, 24 female, live with my aunt, her husband, and their 2 kids, 15 female and 2 male. My biological sisters and I pretty much help raise her kids, so we see them as bonus siblings. The 15-year-old is sleeping over at a friend's house. My uncle is at work. My aunt was decorating a float for the Christmas parade this weekend. I was home alone with the 2-year-old from about 4:30 to 10 p.m. I'm used to sitting for him, and besides the standard toddler antics, he's not a bad kid. About an hour before she came home, I was in the kitchen cleaning up. After dinner, our son was in the living room playing with his toys and watching cartoons on YouTube. And out of nowhere, I hear him let out the most terrified scream. Then he came running into the kitchen crying. As soon as he saw me, he waddled over and clung onto my pant leg and wouldn't let go. I picked him up and buried his face in my hoodie, still crying. When I asked him what was wrong, he kept pointing to the door and just saying door over and over. According to my aunt and uncle, the house has a history. Before my aunt bought the house in 1989, 2 brothers allegedly unalived themselves on the property. I felt uneasy from time to time, and while my brother has done odd things before, he's never seen him get this scared before. Whatever he saw, it scares me too. With the alleged history of the house, I don't doubt that something still lingers in there, decades later. We do know, however, that there is a protective spirit among us. My aunt's late grandfather. Still, seeing him so petrified has me shaken to my core. Anytime kids are involved, man, you gotta not take it with a grain of salt, because I always tell people kids got no reason to lie. Especially if he's freaking out, crying like that. Kids got no reason to lie and make up a story, especially him being that age and he just started running out of the room like that. No. Doesn't make any sense. This next story is about the same time period, about a month ago, from Amarion139 on the Scary Stories subreddit, titled, "I Thought She Died, but She Has a YouTube Channel." I was scrolling through YouTube watching random videos. It happened on last Friday night. It was around 11 in the night. I was chilling as it was the weekend. I live in an apartment. I earn a decent money, 9-to-5 job, single. Life was pretty good. I never really in my wildest dreams thought a YouTube video would cause chaos in my peaceful life. Before that, I need you to get to know about Jocelyn. She's dead. Or that's what we were thinking till now. She was a high school friend of mine. You could see that she was always depressed on her face naturally because due to family situations she was enduring, she was a poor kid. Her father was an addict. Her mother tried her best to give at least an average life for her daughter, which she never had. But Jocelyn never smiled. She was the target of a lot of bullies, also sexually assaulted by a couple guys. She never complained. No one treated her as a friend. Everyone saw her like someone they must show pity. But I and Jocelyn were somewhat close. I felt comfortable with her. Many of my friends would mock me for speaking to her, but I never cared. That's a good guy, or a good person. I don't know if it's a girl. She contemplated suicidal thoughts during her last days in school. During a month before the finals, the sexual assaults got too much for her and pushed her off the edge. One day, she stormed out of the classroom, fighting to hold her tears back. Everyone laughing at her. The teacher didn't stop her. She went to the nurse's room, got a blade, and tried to end her life. I was in another class when all this happened, but at the last moment, I got a hold of her. If I were a minute late, she would have ended her life, but I don't exactly remember how I went to her at the right moment. All I remember is she got a scar on the right index finger and the middle finger for life. This isn't the worst. A week after finals, she disappeared. That's it. No one ever saw her again. It was like she just vanished into thin air. The whole police team with hundreds of volunteers searched every place possible, but she never was found. People decided that she ran out on her own will, leaving her mother alone to survive. I thought she was fed up with her family. Some other, including her mother and me, believed she was dead. I believe that because I know Jocelyn better than anyone. She would not just run away, leaving everything behind. Of course, she was suicidal, but it was in the past. That was too much because of the abuse. Not because of her family situation, and the therapy sessions changed her a lot. She will not run, and if you can't believe me, then at least you must believe that there is no one is stupid enough to leave everything behind before running. She didn't even take money nor any change of dress. Everything was untouched in her home as it was left. The police investigated all of the possible ways, but in vain. It all happened about a decade ago. Jocelyn became a distant memory and a dead person standing along with me in some school photos. That's it. I would miss her during those moments, but your mind will bring back memories like thunder crashing on earth, which would have been unrelated to the situation at the time. I saw Jocelyn as malnourished, grown woman in a YouTube channel at the time. The revelation was made my mind in a split second, pushing me into deep shock. My mouth dropped in a very cartoonish way. I was just sitting there without moving for a whole minute, watching the thumbnail. The video was how to make a homemade slime. It was about 6 minutes and 31 seconds long. Every YouTuber would have crossed videos like that. I clicked on it. The channel name was A9842M. It has some other 3 videos with almost no subscribers. The total view count was around 10. Jocelyn started explaining the procedure, how to make slime, with an artificial smile on her face. The method, she says, was almost a known method to everyone, but what mattered the most was she expressed it. It was a full artificial mannerism. It was like someone forced her to do that. By slowing the video, I was becoming more convinced that it was Jocelyn, and at one point the camera focused on her right hand. At the moment, I noticed the scar. It was almost very light, but it was noticeable. It was there. It was that exact moment. No one could get an exact photocopy of the scar. I was sure. And I knew that was Jocelyn. The same Jocelyn everyone thought was dead. I wasn't even able to believe it. I went to the other two videos. Another video was titled How to Make a Homemade Glue. It was some 7 minutes long. The most disturbing thing in that video was Jocelyn's eyes were bloodshot, like she was drugged. At some point I could hear some muffled screaming in the background. The most recent video was a girl's hand near beef, but it wasn't Jocelyn's hand. And I compared it to the previous video. I was sleepless the whole night. I was not sure what to do. And I'm not sure whether I should call the police or not. I subscribed to that channel and opened YouTube for about every 40 minutes like a madman the next day. The most disturbing thing happened on the Sunday. It gave me chills down my spine. I was again rewatching the 3 videos when the channel went live. I joined immediately. To my horror, my apartment was being recorded. It zoomed in on a particular window. It was my bedroom window, which was covered by a plain green lantern. That's all. The screen went black. The live ended. I was so scared. I was scared to get out of my own house. I locked every door, every window, got back to my bedroom with my laptop. To my horror, every video on that channel was deleted. But I have recorded the videos of Jocelyn. It's in my phone gallery, and I'm very scared to make a move. Whatever or whoever Jocelyn is stuck with is very bad. They have some power, maybe supernatural. I just can't get normal. No way they recorded my apartment as a coincidence. It was like a warning not to mess with them anymore. Though I did nothing more than watch the videos in a loop. It's always like someone is watching me. Should I go to the police? Fuck. That's actually crazy. I ain't even gonna lie, that story gave me chills. Let me just take a second, because damn. He knew his friend was dead for years, and he sees her on a YouTube channel years later. There's no way to explain that. Actually, no way. That's so sketchy. And then it recorded his place. That reminds me of that one movie, Unfriended. Because admins of YouTube channels and whatnot can kind of manipulate and see who watches their videos, how long they watched them. They get all the analytics, right? But still, to get your IP address and to find where you live, that's crazy. Either way, if it's paranormal or not, that's scary. Either way. Hell no. What would you guys do in that situation? I know that story gave me chills. That's probably the best one I've read all day. That's very sketchy. I want you guys to put in the comment section what you guys would do if that was you, you're watching a YouTube video of someone you think is dead, and all of a sudden they find where you live and they start recording you and making like subliminal threats and all this stuff. That's crazy. Oh my God. Nope. Couldn't be me. Could not be me. But yeah, man, those are the stories I have for today. That last one, I'm glad I read that one last because that one was sketchy. Oh my goodness. But yeah, man, this is the Afterlife Hall podcast. Like I said, if there's anybody that knows how to do a good intro, a good outro, hit me up. I'm gonna end up making a Discord here pretty soon. Just a place for everybody to put their and submit their stories and whatnot. So I think it'll be good. But this is the Afterlife Hall podcast. Peace.